discrepancy, challenge whatever you want to challenge, and use but lawful and legal channels, challenge whatever you want to challenge. But because violence begets violence. Secondly, using violence. You cannot control because violence begets the outcomes of violence. Secondly, because what some people want to do is to be violent, the outcomes of violence. Question. Because what some people want to do is why has it come out this way? And then question, once you begin a war, why has it come out this way? Once you begin a war, it is a totally different business. How it ends is purely people. It is totally different channels, means, so where to approaches. Use any area where you feel there is a what means there is a approaches. There were incidents any area where you feel there is a what few areas there is a conflict. There were incidents in but few areas, those flash areas we sorted Greater Kampala Metropolitan, but in those flash areas we sorted it out. With those, we came into contact and all perpetrators with those and applied our public perpetrators and applied our
allegations that in Machindi some roads are even closed.
Which
is that true? There are allegations that in Machindi some roads are even closed. Is that true?
Not now, at least. And even if it was to do, we would apply countermeasures to ensure that there is tranquility.
Afande security ensonga nkulu tugenda kuddako mu Uganda tulina abalaba ku Star TV waliwo ebiteeberezebwa nti mukutte candidate wa NUP.
All right, that is Afande Chituma Rusoke, the police spokesperson, giving us a report of what security looks like right now, and to one who was worried as to the welfare of Chagulanyi. He mentions that he is safe and he is at his home in Magere, and also says that those who want to organize public disorder indeed have been stopped from accessing him at Magere. And he says that with the pockets of insecurity here and there that you are seeing should not stop you, who is a peacekeeping citizen, from going about your business for as long as your intentions are well-meaning. And thank you, Jordan, from Luvoa, for giving us that insight into what the stand of security is like right now. UBC UG polls 2026. We are looking at the state of affairs as the votes are being counted for who the next president of Uganda is going to be. In studio, I do have Honorable Mike Sebalu, and we are chewing on matters here and there as they come through, and of course as the conversation does flow. Honorable Mike Sebalu, we were talking about the patterns, and indeed you did mention that 2021 NUP was not tested, it was a mystery, and 2026 it's known, so people knew what they were voting for.
Yeah, it is demystified because that time there was a wave. People got excited. They took decisions without serious thinking, without serious consideration, and in many cases they lost good leaders, replaced them with the leaders who have turned out to be not very meaning in terms of output. And the dynamics that have come up along the way, you know, with the Mpugas and all these breakups, the disintegration literally, the counter abuses and malignment. So people have come to appreciate what NUP is in terms of quantity and terms of quality. The kind of members that came to Parliament, some of them are yet to make their maiden speech, and yet they are campaigning for re-election. All those dynamics have been able to demystify the mystery around NUP. So coming round, we prepared for them because we knew what they were made of, what they stand for, what they are capable of, and what their ability is in terms of leadership. And so NRM has organized and reorganized, and we've been able to liberate quite a number of constituencies that were hitherto occupied by NUP. Even in terms of performance, NRM is performing much better than it did in those areas that are considered to be NUP favorites. So basically, it is not surprising at all that in Kampala we are able to get 3 MPs so far, And even the average performance at the presidential level is much better. All that can be explained, and it is attributed to the strategy that we use. The strategy of using the structures, the strategy of using the leaders, the strategy of letting the campaign be owned, championed, and undertaken by the leadership across the entire structures. And it is paying dividends.
Let's throw light onto areas like Wakiso, where still NUP is rather a stronghold. Yes, NRM has had its wins like in Busiro North, but if you look at Machide Sabagabo, NUP has won, Rubaga South, NUP has won, Busiro East, yes, where Honorable Medad was, which is where you were.
Simply put it this way, in Wakiso, NUP had 100% win in the parliamentary race in 2021. As we speak, 3 constituencies have been recovered by NRM. That is Busiro North, Busiro South, and Entebbe municipality. Again, it confirms the narrative I'm giving you that we've demystified. And this is work in progress. We are going to liberate all of them. All right. It is a question of time.
Now, when we get to what is at the tally centers and what the candidates say is on ground, the stories seem to be different. It is stated for candidates, most of the candidates, that overnight a different statistic is displayed or is told, and by break of day, it's a whole different shift of the paradigm. What do you have to say into this matter?
Yeah, you know, we are dealing with competitors who are not ready for losses. When you go into any contestation, if you're a very objective person, you should be able to look at 2 possibilities, a win or a loss. And if you are that objective participant, you should be ready for either. But our colleagues are not ready for any. That's why even at the presidential level, you found that at one point there was a statement by the candidate that he will never participate in any electoral process that is managed by Justice Byabakama. That is on record. Another very prominent member of the same party, to be specific, Honorable Lutamaguzi, came up with even a wild statement where he did indicate that whoever ever participates in an electoral process presided over by Justice Byabakama would be the fool of the century. What was so interesting is that he was on the ballot and he lost miserably. You know, losing someone getting twice as many votes as you got. So with that background, it clearly shows that they entered the race well knowing that they would use anything to explain their loss. You remember at one point, mid-term of the electoral process, again a candidate came up with a statement to the effect that even if he won 90%, he would never be declared. Now, those kind of statements clearly show that someone is preparing for their loss, preparing to give justification that they could only lose because the process is not fair. Otherwise, theirs is a win and only a win and a win and a win. Now, that kind of mindset, that kind of attitude is not democratic, because definitely even if you went into the mathematics, you know, as we speak, we have over 200 MPs. They hardly have 30 MPs on their name. We had candidates in all electoral areas. They had candidates they didn't have candidates in over 20, where our members came and opposed. Those are very early signals of a loss if you're talking about a national election. If you can pass with 20 constituencies almost without you having a candidate, that clearly shows that in that area you are simply on the basic minority. And those are scientific. That is evidence. It's not a dream, it's not a wish. Those are serious early signals of a loss. So it is not surprising at all what is coming out, like Kampala, I'm not surprised that they are having majority because they have some good grounding in Kampala. But for NRM to have some 3 clearly shows the effort we've put in, and I would like to salute the Secretariat, Secretary General, Right Honorable Todong and your team, Madam Seninde, Mobilization Director, and the team. You've done a good job, and the leadership of Kampala, the chairpersons and the decks, you've done good, you've delivered. Even the average in terms of the presidential tally is much better than 2021.
For us to actually look at the general overview of the results as they're coming through. But before that, would like to say thank you very much to Cafe Pub that is making sure that we are enjoying African coffee on set as we take on this marathon, bringing you updates and facts as they appear. Now, Honorable, looking at the general overview, 6th provisional results as they've been released so far, of course, candidate Yoweri Museveni is in the lead with 7,643,778 votes. And then second to him is candidate Chagulanyi, who is at 2,601,150 votes. But to add to that matter, some of the agents of all the candidates, some of the presidential candidates that have contested in this election cycle have been have made statements. Our field reporters at Lubowa have got to have conversations with them, and they've given comments such as the NPP's representative, that is Sharif Sentongo, the Secretary General of the NPP, says that the results do not match with the declaration forms on ground. And he also says that the process has not been clean at all, and that Justice Simon Byabakama has not followed the law, especially with the question and event of the BVV case. When it comes to the BVV case, the ANT representative, the one representing General Mujisha Muntu, also said the BVV case was such a shady move, especially with how quickly the decision was made to switch to Ugandans using their registers, manual registers. Of course, many candidates indeed come through with different comments. With the provisional results as they appear right now, we are left with probably 1. By 5, we'll be knowing who our president is 2026-2031, and with some of the comments coming through from agents of opponent candidates. What is your general overview?
First of all, I would like to congratulate the chairperson of the Electoral Commission for having taken leadership to manage a difficult situation that was not foreseen. The failure of the biometrics gadgets was an unfortunate incident, but it needed good leadership to take a decision in order to avert a situation that would not be good. So for them to have taken a decision, and a decision that gives a formidable alternative, was something good to write home about. We need to appreciate the biometric gadgets vis-a-vis the voter register. What is PRIM? What is PRIM is the voter register. That is the authentic source of reference. What the biometric machines were going to do was to help validate what is in the voter register and put a higher level of transparency and make the process more accountable. Because what is in the voter register is what is confirmed by the biometrics. You know, your facials, your thumbprint, and all that. So without the voter register, the machines would be useless. But with the voter register, you can still do a good job even when you don't have the machines. Although when you have the machines without the voter register, you wouldn't be able to do anything. So the voter register was a very fundamental reference point. So in a situation where the machines have failed and you don't have a fallback position, you could easily throw the country into anarchy, where then you have to postpone the electoral process, something that would be very risky. So the decision taken was a good decision. For me, I even want to say they took a little long to take that decision because it delayed to a bit of about 2-3 hours. That decision ought to have been taken even much earlier. So that is the explanation for that. The second aspect of those agents, like my brother Sentongo, who is at the Tale in Chigo, some of these political parties, I appreciate them. I don't want to appear like I'm undermining them. But I want to say the Peasants Party, I never saw any representative where I voted from. I hardly saw any representation anywhere in the country. And I think they are just represented at the national tally. So for them to come up with the generalities when they were not active across, because even in terms of engagement, in terms of the campaign, these are candidates who are there, we appreciate them, and they are given an opportunity to say something, but I want to say I take their points, but I don't take them seriously.
On the decisions made and how they are performing. The one representing candidate Muntu at the Tally Center made mention of the portals through which the results are being transferred. And he said that they are not user-friendly and they are a very huge indicator of a lot of the unfairness going on and the results mismatch going on right now between what is on ground and what the Tally Center is receiving. What would you have to speak into that, especially on the side of the Electoral Commission?
First of all, I wouldn't want to go so deep because that is an allegation that I cannot verify. But my view is that the chairman has been sharing the details on the screens of the source of the overall pronouncements that he makes, and that is subject to engagement. And if they have any issue, I simply want them to take the rightful channels. I don't want to believe that the candidate, the agent of Mugisha Muntu, is contesting what they are having, because in many of the areas that I listened in, they returned zero. And whether that has been manipulated and changed, I'm not too sure. But if they have evidence that the system is defective, let them point it out. I think the Electoral Commission was very clear in saying that they are making pronouncements and allowing opportunity, the details to be shared on the screens so that people can get, if someone has evidence, then it is good to bring that evidence against what they think has been pronounced in error or by intentional kind of misrepresentation. That is the best I can say.
Very profound at that, especially in regards to speaking with evidence as opposed to misrepresentation. Just in case you are watching UBC TV and UBC Uganda goes to the polls, we are getting all the updates as they come through. And of course, as every Ugandan, we are eagerly waiting for the official announcement to know who the next president of Uganda is. Justice Simon Byabakama did mention that at 2 p.m. he will be back with either the provisional results or the final results of announcing who the next president of Uganda shall be. Generally, by 5 p.m., you will already know who your president is, 2026 into 2031. A special, indeed, vote of thanks to Cafe Pap, who are sponsoring our meals here on set. And that is Cafe Pap, Parliamentary Avenue and Ntinda Shell. You can get in touch with them via the number 0759430720. That is the one at Parliamentary Avenue. And Shell Ntinda, it's 0706058463. Now, an update coming through is Honorable Mary Paula Turiakayo has been announced winner for Woman MP Rukunjiri District. And indeed, definitely her congratulations go through as well for her. As they come through, we'll be giving them to you. Now, looking at the provisional results, the 6th provisional results that were announced about 10-something minutes a.m. in the morning by Justice Simon Byabakama. In case you missed them, let me just share them with you so that you are right on board. Bulira Frank stands at 44,322 votes with 0.42%, and Robert Casavante stands at 32,224 votes. That is at 0.30%. Robert Chagulanyi stands at 2,601,150. That is at 24.46%. And Mabirizi stands at 22,274. Pardon me. Mabirizi stands at 22,274, and that is at 0.21%. Candidate Muntu stands at 57,019, and that is at 0.54%. Candidate Munyagwa stands at 30,509, and that is at 0.29%. Candidate Nandala stands at 202,802 votes, and that is at 1.91%. Now, on the screen, we can see Jordan, who is at Lubowa at the National Tally Center, and he is with Honorable Dombo to have a conversation with him as well. Let's take a listen as to what they have to say. 509, and that is at 0.29%.
Yes, we thank you so much for watching. We are still coming to you live from Lubowa at the National Tally Center here, Machindi Sabagabo, as we wait for the Electoral Commission to come and give us another release at 2 p.m. We still talk to different stakeholders in the electoral process, political parties, security, the Electoral Commission, all of them, because they have information here and there that we need as the public. Now, I have the spokesperson of the National Resistance Movement, and that is the Honorable Emmanuel Maladongo. They are leading in the presidential results that are provisionally available. We want to know, how have they made it? There are also allegations in Tibabie. Is it true? How have they? What is the magic? Honorable Dombo, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, and good afternoon to our viewers.
First of all, how have been the campaigns, the whole process to now, ever since your candidate was nominated to now? How has it been?
From the time of nomination, we have run a very serene process with our candidate observing all the agreed SOPs of the law, of the guidelines, and of the dates of the rallies that were agreed by the Electoral Commission. We only had the challenge in the Leango sub-region, where we had to omit 2 rallies, the one of Kole district and the other of Lira district, because of unscheduled or scheduled state duties that were more important than the campaigns, and where the candidate had to go and attend to them. But we had to make up towards the end of the elections, and we moved in all scheduled rallies, including other meetings that were also agreed with the Electoral Commission as a process. So the campaigns have been very serene, very good, and the public has been very enthusiastic, coming to our rallies in big numbers, and at times members of the opposition, or those who don't support us, would allege that we are using school children, but school children don't vote. If the accusation was that we are using AI on the rallies, that we are using school children, how about the voting, which was witnessed by the agents of every candidate? So we have been able to deliver a victory, which is about to be announced by the Electoral Commission. But it took a number of things. The first one, the message of the president in the manifesto. It was a consistent message from the first rally to the last rally. He could only change it by different examples given or by changing the names of the areas where we were. But the message was one, the 7 matofalis contributed by NRM and His Excellency the President, the government, or to the Ugandans. And those were consistent. The second one was the organization of the campaign. Previously, we used to have a national task force. This time, the Central Executive Committee served as the Central Campaign Task Force for the campaigns. And the Secretariat served as the operational level in order to ensure that the facilities, the resources, the materials are transmitted to the party structures, and the party members and leaders took over leadership of the campaigns. And then finally, vote protection was ably done and provided for by the party. They selected very good vote protectors. They were trained. They retrieved all our declaration forms. And I'm very sure, even if anybody chose to contest the victory, we are very ready with the answers.
Okay. So, the performance you had in 2021 is not as good as what we are seeing currently. Did you have some mistakes in what you have listed, 2021, that you went ahead and corrected all that you didn't do right in 2021 in order to have a better result now?
In 2021, there was a pandemic. We did not have open campaigns. The president only addressed, or our candidate only addressed leaders, some of whom did not even transmit the message to the voters because they had either to rely on mass media, because themselves they were under pandemic and shut it down. So under such circumstances, we were bound to perform the way we did. The regulations were not favorable. The president would only meet leaders. There was altercation between the opposition and the security forces, part of which affected our performance as NRM, because we were being accused as if we were the ones sending the security forces to confront the opposition. So there were many things that did not favor us at that time. This time, the organization has been good. The resources have been available. The security improved on their human rights record, handling the population, and all of us have been beneficiaries of the improved status of the affairs.
I've seen an improvement in the results in Uganda region. What do you bank that on?
Uganda is not different from any part of Uganda.
You didn't perform well 2021.
The people of Uganda expect good services from the politicians, expect good water, they expect good jobs, they expect security, they expect good health services, they expect good roads. Now, if they are members of parliament, irrespective of the parties that they are, who do not provide those things to their people, the people will get tired and they'll vote them out. Because the members of parliament who come to parliament, they get better money and they are well off. They are taken abroad to be treated. So they must also talk for their people, for them to be well off. They must work for the wealth creation of the population of Uganda. They must work the good roads to be improved. So the statement in Uganda has been that the voters are tired of rumor mongering, altercation. They want services, they want good roads. Here in Kampala, for instance, why should people be in the ghetto with bed bugs when the government is here with people who can spray bed bugs?
Were they accusing you for the same problems in 2021 as the NRM?
Partially, yes. In Uganda, there was a wave because the young people came and promised heaven on earth, but the people discovered that these people did not have heaven. They had hell instead. So these people delivered the hell with a lot of lies. And the people of Uganda have refused that. So amongst the NRMs, we have lost many important people. We have lost ministers. If they did not cling on government programs to do good service to the people, the population will throw you out.
Okay. Nina abalabi ku Star TV tugendemu ko mu Uganda. Kiki olowooza kibayambye okukola obulungi leero okusinga bwe mwakola biri abiri mu NRM?
Njozaayoza bannayuganda abali eyo with a lot of lies, and the people of Uganda have refused that. So amongst the NRM...
All right, welcome back from that interview of being sold hell or heaven. That is Michael Jordan Lukomwa was speaking with the Honorable Dombo from the NRM party. Now, at this point in time, definitely UBC UG goes to the polls, and it's that time I get to hand over to the newsroom, but we'll be right back with Honorable Mike Sevalu to speak more into the matters and events as they unwrap. And we'll definitely look forward to a conversation from the chief mobilizer, Honorable Seninde. She'll be speaking with us a little later on. And former EC chairperson, Badru Chigundu, will also be having a conversation with us. Looking forward to those conversations, but definitely so looking forward to what the newsroom has in summary, of course, with what happened, but of course, most importantly, the updates coming through as to who has won, who has lost, and if the numbers have increased for the different parties in regards to parliamentary representation. It's UBC TV that you are watching. UG goes to the polls 2026, and definitely eager to serve you, definitely eager to give you all the information that you need as it comes through and indeed as you receive it. Thank you so much for being on as well. For those who are sending text messages to our text number, thank you so much for notifying us and allowing us to be your company in your living rooms, especially as you spend time home in this rather forced or long holiday, but one that has allowed you to relax on just your screen, getting back a bit to the analog, seeing as in Uganda it's quite dark with no internet whatsoever. It's a good afternoon, about 2 minutes after 1 p.m. And indeed, it's that time that I get to hand over to the newsroom. Good afternoon.
Indeed, indeed. It is a wonderful afternoon right here at Broadcast House on Nile Avenue. And thank you so much for taking us through the morning session.
Right.
And thank you so much for the updates. And indeed, we have a lot in store for you, Uganda. Today is the final day. I would say, should we call it Judgment Day? Today is the final day when Uganda will be announcing the head of state or new head of state for the next 5 years. I'm Lorraine Masika Kazimoto, and of course I will be joined with my colleague Edward Kijanangoma Rukidi. He will be joining me later on in just a few, actually. Now we have a lot in store for you when it comes to the updates of the presidential polls that happened on Thursday. Thursday, the 15th of January, Uganda took to the polls to elect or to vote for their presidential, the new president from 2026 to 2031. And from what we're looking at from the EC, the latest updates from the Electoral Commission, President Yoweri Museveni has taken a commanding lead in the Thursday's presidential elections, well ahead of his main challenger, Robert Kyagulanyi of the National Unity Platform. Now, Museveni dominates with 71% of the votes as EC tallies 93% of the polling stations. Robert Kyagulanyi is in a distant second with 24.46% of the total results as so far released. Let's show you an update on that. Well ahead of his main challenger, Robert Kyagulanyi of the National Unity Platform. Now, Museveni dominates with 71% of the votes as EC tallies 93% of the polling stations. Robert Kyagulanyi is in a distant second with 24.46% of the total results as
heads of delegations that are here, the representatives and agents of presidential candidates, representatives of political parties, heads of missions that are observing these elections, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, Lord Chairperson of the Electoral Commission, you're welcome, and I would like to take this opportunity to hand over to you to address the nation. Heads of delegations that are here, which is waiting for the message of the Commission this evening. Heads of missions, thank you, sir. Observing these elections, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, Lord Chairperson,
thank you, and
welcome, and
good evening, our distinguished guests who are here, and the fellow Ugandans who are watching us on the various TV channels. We are here once again to update you on the current status regarding the provisional results of the presidential elections that took place yesterday. Now, this session is the fifth we are making since yesterday in releasing the provisional results. Registered voters remain 21,649,067. Total number of polling stations 50,739. Total number we are making since yesterday.
That you saw on your screen. We do apologize. That was the EC chairman's update for yesterday, but we will be bringing you the EC chairman, Justice Simon Bebakama's update on the presidential race. We'll be bringing you that footage and that update throughout in this particular hour. I am finally joined by my colleague, Edward Kijanangoma Rukidi. Thank you so much for coming in this afternoon. And it indeed is, I should say, a bit tense. It's a mixture of tense and excitement at the same time. It is the final day, the day that all Ugandans have been waiting for. And
oh yes, Lorraine. Good afternoon, viewers, and thank you, Lorraine. Indeed, it is, as you say, it is a day of mixed emotions.
Yes.
Some of the people who thought probably they would win have lost. Others who have won are actually celebrating. And so there's a lot that is going to be taking place in the course of the day, but also in the days coming ahead. But also we need to understand that, of course, the news that has been coming through from the National Tele Center in Lubowa, the results are there for everybody to see. And of course, we shall be talking later on this program about some of the areas where things have actually changed, where the unexpected happened, but that will be in the course of the day. But for now, I'd like to actually talk about what is out there in the open. That is allegations that the National Unity Platform presidential candidate Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, has been arrested, and that his home has been, broken into. But the police has come out to actually say something about what these rumors are all about, and let's hear what the police has to say. But for now, I'd like to actually talk about what is out there in the open. That is allegations that
I think the questions are similar. They rotate around his status. Mr. Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, as far as I'm informed, he's not under arrest. That is one statement I would like to make categorically clear. The deployment around his place, yes, it is visible. But we have deployed in all areas where our intelligence estimates give us a point to such areas as areas of interest, including places or precincts around Magere. First and foremost, would like to share with you that in some of those pockets, not necessarily at Magere, but in some areas nearby, you know that we had youths who became disorderly. We also have information that most of these are under incitement by specific political actors. So we are dominating as security all areas that are of specific security interest. So it should not surprise you when we have a pickup or two near the residence of Honorable Kyagulanyi. And we don't commit any offense when we deploy in Magere. We have the right to deploy anywhere. But what I would like to categorically make as a statement is he's not under arrest. So it should not surprise. Please do. When we have a pickup or two. Has he moved and he has been denied to move? I'm not aware. At least I am not aware that he has been denied an opportunity to move. And I don't know when that opportunity was denied to him. Because the last time I saw him move, that was the time when he was going to cast his vote. So, like I've said, that if any information particularly comes to my attention that he's particularly restricted, then we shall tell you and we shall share with you the reasons as to why. And I don't know when that opportunity was denied, because the last time that information came out, I have said I have no information to the effect that Kyagulanyi is arrested. So pick it, like I've said, that if any information, let me hope we are clear on that. The allegations that his guard was shot and killed, I don't know where you because what we know is that most media spaces, especially social media, the diaspora, are simply trying to create that kind of insightful picture. So that allegation cannot be done. Yes. As to whether public can access him, first and foremost, like we have told you, we have controlled access in areas we feel security hotspots. We have not necessarily denied people from accessing him, but we can also not tolerate instances where people use his premises to gather and cause unnecessary violence or incite violence. So we cannot allow an environment to be used as a springboard in areas we feel.
Yes, police spokesperson Chituma Rusoke giving you an update on security and more so making a clarification on the alleged arrest of Robert Kyagulanyi Ssentamu, the presidential candidate for the National Unity Platform. Now, I want to take you back to the Electoral Commission chairperson's update on the presidential race as it stands, as far as it stood as per this morning. Remember, the Electoral Commission gives an update on how the race is going every, let's say, every after 3-4 hours. And we're expecting another update at around 2 p.m. But I take you to the update that happened earlier on today morning. I want to take you back to
today or this morning. Would like to release further provisional results of the presidential elections as we stand at this hour. The total number of registered voters remain 21,649,067. The total number of polling stations are 50,739. As we talk now, the total number of police stations from which we have obtained the results are 47,499, representing 93.61% of the total number of polling stations across the country. The performance per candidate is as follows. Bulira Frank Kavinga, 44,328, representing 0.42% of the valid votes cast for the candidates. Kaswante Robert, 32,224, representing 0.30% of the valid votes cast. Kyagulanyi Ssentamu Robert, 2,601,150. Mabirizi Joseph, 22,274, representing 0.21%. Sorry, in the case of Kyagulanyi, I beg your pardon, that tally represents 24.46%. 24.46% for Kyagulanyi, who has 2,601,150. Mugisha Gregory Muntu Oyera, 57,019. That is 57,019, representing 0.454 of the valid votes cast. Nyagwa Mubarak Serunga, 70,509 votes, representing 0.29% of the valid votes cast. Nandalama Fabi James Nathan, 202,802, representing 1.91% of the valid votes cast for the candidates. Yoweri Tuhaburwa Kaguta Museveni, 7,643,778 votes, representing 71.88% of the valid votes cast. The valid votes in total for all the candidates are 10,634,084. Invalid votes 264,015. 264,015, representing 2.42% cast. The total votes altogether 10,898,099, representing 50.34% of registered voters. Spoiled votes 38,223. This is the current update.